Hello to all our railfan friends wherever you are. Welcome back to another exciting railroad adventure here in our channel. Today we are celebrating a milestone reached by one of our favorite friends. atjoe1972 just passed his 300 subscribers level on his channel this week. Join us to help him celebrate his new accomplishment. The video today will show his atjoe scale Burlington Northern Empire Builder train in the year 1970. The Empire Builder is not only the name of the train, but also represents the founding father of the Great Northern Railroad, Mr. James J. Hill. The Amtrak Builder passenger train still runs today until the U.S. National Railroad as the Amtrak Empire Builder. Let's go have a look now at Joe's train before we get into today's history lesson. All aboard? Here we go, guys!
Known as the Empire Builder, James J. Hill was instrumental in settling the Great Plains. Wielding the vision of a transcontinental railroad, Hill recruited immigrants to settle along his rail lines to create a market for his company. By the end of his life, Hill's economic dominance stretched from his headquarters in St. Paul all the way to the Pacific Ocean.
He's one of those examples of rags to riches story that Americans love so much. It wasn't typical of the great industrial leaders of the Gilded Age, of which he was certainly one. Most people who made it big started out pretty big, but he was born into poverty in frontier Ontario. He had no backing. He had basically an 8th grade education. As a teenager, really, he left Canada, tried his luck or bummed around some of the Gulf ports, New York and elsewhere, and settled on St. Paul, probably for the reasons that most people who paid any attention in the mid-19th century knew. St. Paul's the high point of navigation on the Mississippi River. Fast developing, lots of opportunities, so it made some sense to try your luck there, and he was fortunate enough to be hired on the levee initially to work as a clerk and perform other duties in St. Paul. So he kind of stuck with it, if you will. And of course, this part of the world started to grow economically very quickly afterwards. He was working really as a forwarding firm. Steamboats would come up the Mississippi and then they'd unload them and that they transfer those goods, that merchandise, to stores, people, and so on. A good part of his first fortune, some of it is made in the steamboat trade, some of it is made in the coal trade. He's fairly prominent and certainly well off by the time he enters the railroad business at middle age.
Hill was a great user of circumstance. When a panic or financial troubles would occur, the opportunity presented itself for Hill to acquire interest in these other businesses, and eventually simply built up a portfolio that was so big that he essentially controlled the market in the northern part of the United States.
Really, railroading for James J. Hill was a second career. He became aware of the importance of railroad personally. Everybody read the newspapers, and certainly he did too. He knew railroads were important. The railroads, what I think of as the glamour industry of the 19th century. The best minds, most of the money, the best science, the best managers, the best workers, the best everything went into the railroads.
Hill was interesting in that he used his own fortune. The Great Northern was not a land-grant railroad, so he did not have the advantage that other railroads had in that they were able to leverage the land given to them by the government. The strength of his will and his business acumen and his personal fortune built the Great Northern.
In the 1890s, all the transcontinentals except the Great Northern went bankrupt in the Panic of 1893. Hill, backed by J.P. Morgan, will get de facto control of the Northern Pacific. They will purchase a controlling interest in the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy. All of these lines together, plus some smaller lines, will form the basis of what's about to become the Northern Securities Company. The day Northern Securities is formed, it immediately becomes the largest single railroad organization in the country. So in the rise of big business, this is pretty big stuff. Only U.S. Steel is larger than Northern Securities, so it's a huge enterprise.
Hill was a force to be reckoned with. He firmly believed that this should all be one humongous entity, one railroad, and that was his dream, and it was the dream of empire. He was a very driven individual. He had a very large house in St. Paul on Summit Avenue, and I think he had that house simply to keep up appearances, because I don't know how often he stayed in that house, because he was busy moving around his system, busy making sure things were happening the way he wanted them to.
He was, I guess, in what we would call in the 21st century, a workaholic. 7 days a week, he was very much on the ground, hands-on, saw in person what happened. If you think of some of the other great railroad leaders of the time, they almost never inspected the railroad properties anywhere. Hill was constantly on the railroad, his railroad, and particularly as it expanded, first to construct it to make sure things were going well, and then the operation of it to make sure things were running smoothly. He was a micromanager, I suppose, in our terms today. He had this kind of restless temperament that he was constantly building more and always involved in things. In one sense, even though he retired formally from the railroad, first as president and then as chairman of the board, in some ways he probably never really retired.
In 1916, when he died, the entire system, all his holdings, all of the trains, all the ships, everything, at a preordained time came to a halt. The engine crews dismounted, the ships came to a stop. It was 5 minutes of silence in honor of Mr. Hill. After his death, the railroad named their premier train after him as the Empire Builder. And even today, Amtrak preserves the name, the Empire Builder, for its passenger service across and on Great Northern's line. So in effect, you can still ride Hill's dream even today.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. The North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.
Thank you so much everyone for watching, and congratulations to atjoe1972. Please don't forget to hit the like, comment, and subscribe to atjoe's YouTube channel, atjoe1972. And thank you so much to both of you, to Mr. James Hill, for introducing you to here in our channel. Thank you so much, guys. And please don't forget to hit the like, comment, and subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss our next and more Relfen adventures. Once again, this is Megan Gallogo with StarBright Productions. Bye-bye for now, everyone.